Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by
Metalloid Firearms and Sports, utilizing botanical technologies to develop an advanced high-performance line of environmentally friendly firearm maintenance products that will not only clean and protect your firearms, but also your leather and wood components. Find out more at metalloidfirearmsproducts.com. And by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson and we've got an awesome show for you this week. I'll take you out fishing with a young man who is quite the accomplished fisherman at the age of 7. You won't want to miss that story. But before we get to that, Jimmy and Jordan have some other exciting Michigan outdoor adventures for us too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a lot of good stuff on this week's show, and we're actually going to kick off this week's show with something just a little bit different. We're going to take a comprehensive look at what goes into training our conservation officers here in the great state of Michigan. After that, we're going to stop in with a new Michigan manufacturer that's got some outdoor products that you may just want to take a peek at. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors. Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's the love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, offering a variety of meat products. Country Smokehouse is located 3 miles south of I-69 on M53, just south of Imlay City. Country Smokehouse is a meat processor, a butcher, and a destination for sportsmen. By KL Outdoor, a Muskegon manufacturer of sportsmen's outdoor products for over 30 years, featuring the Terrain line of hard-sided hunting blinds designed for quick setup and removal with quiet operation. For more information and other products, kloutdoor.com. By G5 Outdoors, makers of the Quest and Prime bows. Manufactured and designed in Memphis, Michigan, G5 offers archery bows, broadheads, and accessories. On the web at g5outdoors.com.
We all have one, that perfect spot, a special place we go to smooth out the ripples of the day. Our perfect spot is calling. Our perfect spot is Pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Weeks that make up the Academy are difficult and include 14 weeks of basic law enforcement and 8 weeks of specialized conservation officer training to make sure these recruits are prepared for just about anything when they hit the field.
Our conservation officers are not only police officers, they're game wardens, so that's what makes them a unique brand here in Michigan. They patrol 4 of the 5 Great Lakes, all of the inland waterways, the rivers and streams, the trails, and so they have a large array of activities that they are patrolling and things that they're protecting, people, places, and the things that we treasure, our wildlife and our natural resources. Our officers are trained in snowmobile patrols, ORV patrols, life safety patrols, search and rescue operations, swift water operations, and many things that add value across the state. Over the years, general law enforcement diminished around the state when we came around to hard economic times, and our officers more and more were called upon to assist in the rural areas of the state, to back up or be the first responders in instances in rural communities where there weren't general law enforcement officers so that could respond rapidly. So our role has changed over time. If you went back to 1887, the primary role was fish and game enforcement, but as time went on, the officers and the duties that they needed to carry out to protect the citizens and the natural resources of the state got much more complicated and much more diverse. This academy that you see that these recruits graduated from today is a 22-week academy, and it takes a lot of effort and attention to duty to put such an academy on, and it takes a special individual to sign up for such a job that is very complicated. When you think about every officer in the state of Michigan has to pass general law enforcement standards and be licensed. Well, our officers not only have to pass all of those standards, but they have to be well versed in how to identify fish and game, waterfowl, all sorts of species, and understand the rules and regulations that are put in by the department to protect those species. So we're the support branch for this department in terms of the divisions determine the regulations that are put in place via scientific management to ensure that the resources continue into perpetuity. Our officers need to understand all of that, plus keep fully trained on general law enforcement changes in law and procedures. So it's a unique brand. Conservation officers in Michigan are game wardens, and they're also police officers.
It was a pleasure, my honor, to be here today to celebrate the recruits. They play such a vital role in the department. As we talked about today, oftentimes they're our brand. They brand the department. So they're out there face to face, meeting thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of public every year. And they're the first encounter with the Department of Natural Resources. This recruit school, just some great young employees. They bring vigor and energy to us as an organization. And they're critical to managing and protecting our natural resources. We're so lucky in Michigan to have the natural resources we have. We've got 20 million acres of forest, 10,000 plus lakes, thousands of miles of stream, and they're the front line in protecting that.
The training that is needed to adequately prepare these conservation officers might seem a little extreme, but it's necessary for a job setting that can range from downtown Detroit to the western end of the UP and everywhere in between.
So as you look at our officers and some of the video that you may have seen regarding the training that they went through during this academy session, much of that training is very, very intense. It's very physical in nature. You have to understand that our officers patrol way far away from sometimes the pavement and way far away from backup. So they have to be able to defend themselves in unique situations, but also have to be able to survive falling through the ice when they may be far away from assistance and potentially unable to call for help. They have to be able to self-rescue. They have to be able to rescue others in terms of knowing how to do, basically, it's combat first aid. So if you have a hunter that has a self-inflicted injury, far out, they've hiked out into the woods, and the only person that can assist them is a conservation officer, we have to be able to render that life-saving aid and ensure that we can do those things that can save an individual. So we carry tourniquets, we carry blood clotting materials in our first aid kits, and that's so that we can protect the citizens that pay our wage. We are public servants. We're committed to serving the public. We're committed to protecting the natural resources. The academy is intensive because of the unique circumstances in which these officers patrol. Oftentimes it could be on urban streets in the city of Detroit, Grand Rapids, Flint, Pontiac, Bay City, anywhere, or it could be in the Porcupine Mountains, on Lake Superior, Lake Erie, Lake Huron, all over. These officers have to be able to have the skill sets to survive and to help others.
The academy is difficult, and those who were able to make it through were relieved to be done and excited to start the next chapter of their journey.
Coming into the academy, it's very regimented. You're getting told what to do every minute of the day, when you can do stuff, when you can't. And as you go through the academy, you get into a groove of doing things on your own, doing it the right way the first time. And so you get comfortable with it, and then they'll slam you back into reality real quick, and you'll feel like you're back at step one. But towards the end, you start to build that confidence. You know what you're doing. You're confident in your skills, your abilities, and the training you've received. And you're ready to go take on the world when you get out. Right now, I'm pretty ecstatic. Wasn't fun being in the academy for 6 months, but now I'm ready to go out in the field. Going to be going up to Crawford County to work with an experienced field officer up there to hopefully gain more knowledge and training and be evaluated myself. And so right now I'm ready to celebrate. obviously after 22 weeks of strenuous activity and academic testing.
Well, the whole academy is 22 weeks long. It's a very long process. For me, the most challenging part was the military aspect. I didn't have any military background, so for me, coming into this was definitely a bit challenging. Overall, it was a great experience. I learned a lot. It was great training, and I'm looking forward to being in the field. I'm going to GABE County. It's on the far west end of the UP. Very excited about that. Something different, new experience. Looking forward to it. I was always interested in law enforcement. It wasn't until about 12 years old I found out what a conservation officer was. I grew up fishing with my dad. I love to hunt, love to fish. Just as a kid, I was walking the piers and saw a conservation officer, and ever since I just want to be a conservation officer.
We're looking to our hunting and fishing partners and groups and other people interested in law enforcement to help us recruit to get the best candidates to be conservation officers. They're the ones that pay the freight either through, the sportsmen and fishermen and folks pay the freight through their license fees for a portion of our budget. And so we need them to help us get the right people into the positions, the conservation officer positions. So we implore people that if you know someone that would be a great conservation officer, great candidate, somebody that loves the outdoors, somebody that understands hunting and fishing or is willing to learn about those things, hiking, camping, the trails across Michigan, those are the sorts of candidates that we're looking for with high moral and ethical values, are willing to be trained and willing to work out in the outdoors in all weather conditions. It takes a unique person, but they're in every county in this state, and we're looking for them to apply to us for those positions. Over the next 5 years, we have up to the potential of another 50 retirements. We're looking at another academy next year. So each year, we're interested in getting those quality candidates, grandsons, granddaughters, sons, daughters, cousins, uncles, aunts, nephews, people that are interested in these positions.
Conservation officers play an important role in the outdoors here in Michigan, and it's nice to see a few more entering the force. Congratulations to this year's graduating class, and thanks to everyone who helped make this segment possible.
When I met young Charlie Banka and his family over the summer, I quickly learned that he is obsessed with fishing and he loves Michigan Out of Doors television. So I just knew I had to spend an afternoon fishing with this young man. I met up with Charlie and his family on Labor Day weekend at his grandparents' house in Linden.
Hey guys! Hi!
Hey, what's going on, Charlie?
Nothing. I'm just gonna go out fishing.
Yeah? How are we gonna start out here?
We're gonna first go on the canoe, try to catch some fish, bottom bouncing, and then we're gonna go out on the pontoon, our whole family, and trying to get some doing that.
Cool. What's your favorite way to fish?
I think trolling.
Yeah? Do you use your dad as a trolling motor?
Sometimes.
All right. What kind of fish do you guys have out here?
We have bluegill, sunfish, bass, and some walleye.
What about pike?
Yeah, and pike.
Pike. All right. Cool. All right. Let's do it. Charlie headed out to a drop-off with the help of his trolling motor, also known as his dad, Trevor. On the way out, Charlie ran through his setup.
I'm using worms with a crawler harness and with a bottom bouncer.
Oh, yeah.
So my wife and I take the approach of we expose the kids to everything, and whatever they gravitate towards, that's what we promote. So the kids have all been exposed to anything from dance to the arts to theater to hunting and fishing, and Charlie's really gravitated towards hunting and fishing, and it turns out to be his passion. Any free chance he gets, he's out in the pond in the backyard, either fly fishing or throwing lures, and he started bobber fishing, and it was just about the catching, and now it's more about the fishing.
So far, trolling with bottom bouncers was not producing for Charlie, so he decided to pull out the bass baits and try drifting. Tell me what's going on, Charlie.
Well, now I'm going to start to cast and reel in.
Switching it up?
Yep.
What do you like about fishing?
I like reeling in the fish and then like seeing how much fish we catch and seeing how big they are.
Charlie likes a good fishing challenge, but he thought we may have started a bit too early in the day for the bite. The canoe fishing wasn't paying off, and the rest of the family was waiting to head out, so we hopped on the pontoon with Charlie's grandparents, Tony and Tammy, Mom Kelly, and siblings Rayleigh and Henry for another try. Well, this plan B looks a little more comfortable, huh?
Yep, we hope we're gonna go out in the middle of the lake. Hopefully we can drift across and see if we can get something.
The sun was sinking lower in the sky, and fishing picked up immediately out here on the pontoon.
All right.
What were you using?
Worms. I was just letting my line down and then it bit it.
Cool.
He fishes daily back in a pond which is behind our house. I think it's in his blood. His grandfather's been a fisherman, his uncle is an avid sportsman, and I fished when I was a kid, not as passionately as he did, so he's taught me a lot through all of this, and he'll go on the internet and learn a new technique, or how to catch bass is what he'll end up Googling, and he'll say, Dad, I think we should try to rig up a worm wacky style, so we have to look that up and figure out what we're doing. And sure enough, he goes out and he catches fish. He'll try something that I think certainly won't work. He's like, Dad, just wait, just watch. And he consistently catches fish doing whatever he happens to be doing.
The panfish were on the bite now, and the bucket was starting to fill up. Charlie had plans to make dinner for the family and was going to need a good mess of fish. His sister and brother were helping with the catch.
The other kids seem to enjoy it a lot as well. Henry enjoys it, the little guy, more so because his brother enjoys it. And Rayleigh's more of a fly fisher woman than anything, and she enjoys cleaning the fish, helping her brother out.
Trevor and Kelly have done an amazing job at teaching all three of their kids to be self-sufficient when it comes to baiting their own hooks, reeling in fish, unhooking them, and cleaning them. These kids understand that even though it's exciting to catch a small bluegill, keeping that fish means you have to clean it too. They have no problem throwing back the smaller ones to catch another day. Trevor says his family takes the responsibility very seriously to do their part to pass on these traditions to our next generation of sportsmen and women here in Michigan.
Our youth is the future of our Michigan outdoor heritage, and our kids, who's better to teach that to them than their parents? So Rayleigh, Charlie, and Henry have all learned how to, they need to bait their own hook, they need to take the fish off their own hook, and they've learned how to clean their own fish. So they'll clean their fish and they'll help cook dinner as well. So it's been very important for our family to teach the kids how to respect the animals that give their lives for our meals, and all three of them have learned that we utilize the meat, and the kids all know that if when we get a deer, that we clean the deer, we hang the deer, we butcher the deer ourselves, and we utilize all of the meat. We do the same thing with the fish, and they've all learned how to clean the fish, they've learned how to cook the fish, and they do the same thing with when we go hunting. And Charlie gets a kick out of knowing that he's feeding the family after he goes out hunting or fishing.
Charlie was cooking up the fish for dinner with some fresh lemon juice, olive oil, and fresh dill. The final step in his recipe was to throw it on the grill, but there are some downfalls to being only 7 years old. Now what?
Well, my mom's gonna put that on the grill. They don't trust me with fire yet.
All right. Good job. Kelly added the fish to the grill where there were already some steaks and mushrooms on the fire. Every fisherman knows you gotta have a backup plan just in case the fishing doesn't go well. Luckily for the family, they had a little surf and turf going for dinner. Under Charlie's watchful eye, the fillets were done to perfection and served to his family for a delicious meal that doesn't get much fresher than this. Now it was time for the moment of truth, and no one gives an honest opinion like a big sister.
How is it? It's really good. I've already tried some fish.
So many of us have shared a family dinner like this, and while it's always a great feeling to provide the meat for the table, it's even better to have people to share in the experience. The Banka family will look back on these memories as the kids grow and times change, but one thing we can all bet on, years from now, we'll still find Charlie making one more cast here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
Well, in our next story, we're going to take a look at a new Michigan manufacturer that is putting together some products that may help your time in the woods be a little bit more fun or a little bit more productive.
Just outside of Rockford, Michigan, which is about 20 minutes north of Grand Rapids, is a new venture in the outdoor world, a company called Fourth Arrow. These guys have some really interesting products hitting the outdoor market. Calvin Beakey, the brains behind Michigan Whitetail Pursuits, is part of this group, and the first product is something we found pretty interesting.
We got our new camera arm system. It's actually, there's a few different things that are really cool about our system. First of all, our base, which we've made very affordable. A 4-pack of our bases costs about the same as one extra base from our competition. And the idea behind our bases is that you can leave them in the tree because they're so affordable. You buy one for every area you like to hunt. You leave that in the tree so that you're not climbing up there in the morning in the dark and running a ratchet strap, making all kinds of noise, letting everything in the area know that you're there. And then the other thing that's really cool about our system is this is actually a shoulder. Slides right in the base here. It's really easy to do. Then you turn the bottom there and lock it on. And then because we got 360 degrees that we can turn this, you can find your level spot on pretty much any branch and any setup in any tree, and you'll be able to find your level.
If you're into taping your hunts, these arms are quite something. From the graphite arms to their stiff arm and stiff arm pro models, they have something for any shooter. The next product that has a slightly wider audience would be their scent technology, which is something I have not seen before.
If you've ever seen friends or someone out at a store or a restaurant where they're vaping and you see all that smoke, that's what really started us down the line. We started talking about it with each other, saying if I could take that and figure out how to do it while hunting, that really would be kind of cool. We started checking into the industry, started looking at what people were doing over 2 years ago, and we ended up doing is we came up with a process where we could actually, with a battery system, actually be able to put scent in the top of the unit, put in anything I want, any type of flavor I want, any scent that I want. I can take the top off, fill it, turn it on, and then at that point I can go with a selector and select for that thing to go off every 5 minutes, every 3 minutes, or every minute. And so now with a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom, I can mount it to any tree I want, I can put it on any tripod I want, and I can set it out. What's also neat about it is, like right now I'm running apple, smells really good. If I'm hunting in apple trees, I'm going to be running apple scent. If it's coming into the rut, I'm going to start putting doe estrus in. If I'm looking for a dominant buck, I'm going to be running some buck urine in. The other thing that we came out with our pro staff last year, which we didn't even dream of when we first started doing it, was hunters were starting to take the scent and blend it, which means that if I was going into a pine tree, into a pine stand, I could put in 25–30% of pine, but then also put doe estrus or put something else with me. So not only was I able to customize my scent to my place, but every day, every time I went out, if I was going to an apple tree tomorrow, I could empty the unit out, put a different scent in, and let it run. You can see here it's set at the 1-minute setting, and it will do this. One tank runs for about 40 hours. If you buy a bottle of scent, it fills this up at least 3 times. And what happens is we're finding that we're getting 100 to 200 hours of time in the field running our scents off of a fill of the cartridge, and then the battery runs for almost 40 hours right now, and it's a rechargeable battery. So you're not throwing anything away. We're taking it back in, plugging it in for the afternoon, and then you can run it again the next day.
I'm really interested to see what these units will do this year in the woods. One of the other scent dispersal systems they have is pretty intriguing as well.
So what we ended up doing is developing a system. We call it the grenade. It's a wind scent grenade. And what you do is you just squeeze it. And how it's all set up, it's this exact same scent that we have in our other units. All the scents that we use, we make, everything that runs in our units has to be run and made by us. But what we can do is you can actually use the grenade, then the stick actually is removable. So when you change positions, if you decide you're going to be sitting in apple trees, or you're going to sit in pine trees, or you're going to do dirt, or whatever the scent you want to do, all you have to do is change the stick, and you go out and you hunt, and now you have this hanging on your neck, nice and quiet way, that not only are we going to be sending some scent out, but we're going to be sending and noticing what the wind is doing in the wind direction.
I have to say, when I made my way to Rockford to see the company, I really didn't know what to expect. The tree arm and the wind sense are the first products that this Fourth Arrow company has introduced, and if these are any indication, they will be a new player in the outdoor landscape of Michigan and beyond. It's always great to see a Michigan company supporting the outdoor lifestyle. We'll have the contact info for the company in the credits of the show. Thanks to Rob and the boys for letting me see some of their new products that are hitting the sporting goods shelves this fall.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll let you know how we did on the youth deer season that happened this past weekend. Lots of exciting action in the deer blind for sure. If you can't check us out when we air on PBS, you can also check us out on our website at michiganoutofdoorstv.com, or you can see what we're up to on our Facebook page at Michigan Out of Doors TV. We have lots of excitement in store for you this fall.
Well, we do have a lot of good stuff coming over the next few weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors. It's a great time of the year to be a sportsman. Of course, this past weekend was the youth season. We'll have that for you on next week's program. I think this week I'm going to be doing some salmon fishing on the Manistee, also some smallmouth bass fishing on Burt and Mullet. Lots happening right now here in the great state of Michigan. Get out and enjoy it. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Rosie Brothers and Kubota. Located in Dryden, Michigan, Rosie Brothers has been serving Michigan for over 40 years. Specializing in outdoor needs, Rosie Brothers features Kubota tractors and equipment for use in farm, home, or commercial needs. On the web at rosiebrosinc.com. By the Michigan chapters of Safari Club International. For over 40 years, SCI has been protecting hunters' rights and promoting wildlife conservation here in Michigan and around the world. SCI chapter locations can be found on the web at firstformichigan.org. By Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore with its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses. Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning is provided by Marvel Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man, changing seas.